Hey y'all, and welcome back to Booked with the Cook. So as promised, we're going to be using the vegetable stock that we made in the last video to craft a delicious new recipe. We're also going to be using an actual cookbook, y'all, for the first time in about 3 episodes? This time, we're going to be using the Redwall cookbook, which was written by Brian Jakes, the same author as the Redwall book series, and whose name I have been mispronouncing my entire life. That embarrassing little fact aside, we're going to be making one of the otter characters' favorites, shrimp and Hotroot soup. And just as its name implies, this is a soup made with shrimp and roots. As discussed in our last video, because Redwall characters are usually either herbivores or piscivores, a word that I swear is totally real and not something I just made up to irritate the YouTube censors, this dish falls firmly into the pescatarian realm of dietary categories. So let's round up the ingredients. You'll need roughly a pound of shrimp, 1 whole onion, I like the sweet or the Vidaea varieties depending on the season, 3 or 4 good-sized potatoes, 2 or 3 leeks, 2 or 3 garlic cloves, and finally I'm using a whole 32-ounce jar or 4 cups worth of our homemade veggie stock. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to the kitchen and get started. First off, I'm using frozen shrimp, so that means that we're going to need to thaw these little guys out. Now, I recommend using cold water. This will thaw but not heat the shrimp, meaning they'll cook evenly, and will keep them cool right up to the point when we're ready to cook them. You always want your shrimp to be kept cold before cooking them. Safety first, kiddos. While those are thawing, let's get to work on our leeks. Leeks are a root vegetable that are basically what you'd get if you took the size laser from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, slammed that thing in reverse, and used it on a bunch of scallions. These things are a very old vegetable that have many cultures that use them, stretching from Western Europe all the way to Egypt. They are also a vegetable that you have to clean very thoroughly before using because, like onions, they
have layers.
Thanks, Shrek. All memes aside, those layers trap a lot of dirt we do not want in our soup. So to prep these little guys, start by nipping off the green tops, then do the same for the bottom. Slice the leek in half, then toss all those freshly sliced layers into a colander and give them a good wash. Be sure to separate all of them and rinse them thoroughly to clean out any dirt you see. Now it's back to the chopping board to slice them. You can make the pieces as small or as big as you want. Just remember to deposit your green tops into a freezer bag so you can make more veggie stock later. It's all part of the cycle I like to call the circle of deliciousness. Then dice your onion, your garlic, and finally, peel and cut your potatoes into small bite-sized pieces, similar to the potato soup episode. Once that's done, we're moving on to the stove. First, melt some butter in our soup pot over medium-low heat. Since leeks and onions cook at similar rates, it's totally cool for you to just dump them in together right at the start. Once those have been going for a few minutes, go ahead and add your garlic too. Our heat is low enough and there's so much in our pot that the garlic doesn't really stand a chance of burning, because all the leeks and onions are actually shielding it. Now you're going to let these cook down. The recipe as written in the book says not to let them brown, but if you like the flavor of completely caramelized onions, then go right on ahead and let them brown. But I'm hungry, so I'm going to let them just get to the soft, translucent stage. Remember, that means that they're not brown, but you can still easily squish them with the side of your spoon. Well, we've addressed our aromatics, so next we'll see to our seasonings. Feel free to apply salt and pepper as needed, but these guys are not the stars of the show here. That honor goes to curry and cayenne pepper. Here's the thing though, the recipe calls for either curry powder or cayenne pepper. So while I was planning out this meal, I thought, why not both? And immediately followed that thought with, yeah, we'll do both. I'm also following the running tradition of this series by not quite following the recipe, as I'm using a curry spice blend from Spice and Tea Exchange, the yellow Indian curry mix specifically, instead of just plain curry powder. Now, if you're asking, what is the point of the recipe if you don't follow it? Allow me to explain my cooking philosophy. I treat a recipe more like the pirate code.
The code is more what you call guidelines than actual rules.
Booked with the Cook, ladies and gents, where the food is fresh, but the memes are not. Yeah, if I think it'll taste good or better than what the recipe calls for, I'll add something or I'll take it out. Besides, it's still got the curry in it. It's just got a bunch of other good stuff in it as well. Alright, now with that little lecture out of the way, toss in your spices and get them mixed in well. Let that cook down until it smells really good, which don't take long at all, only about 30 seconds or so. then toss in your potatoes, and finally, pour in your veggie stock. All you have to do with it now is let that cook down and make your potatoes soft. And while it's working on that for us, let's go to our other eye and get these shrimps cooked up. Cooking shrimp is a pretty simple process. You just need any sort of oil or fat. I'm using butter here again, but you can pretty much use any variety you want. Now once your butter is melted or your oil is hot, toss in your shrimp. Now before I threw these over in here, I drained and patted them dry, cause otherwise this hot butter would spit up like you wouldn't believe, and that is nothing but Pain City. You're just gonna toss them in and let them cook in your oil or butter. Stir them and flip them just as you need to get them thoroughly cooked, and it'll only take you a few minutes. Shrimp also have a really convenient way to tell when they're done. They'll change color from their original translucent gray to an opaque pink. And once they are all pink, they are done. Dump them right on into your soup and a delicious dinner is yours for the eating. Serve it right away with a warm piece of buttered garlic toast and you have a cozy meal perfect for a stormy evening. That's it for this time, y'all. In our next episode, I'll be showing you another use for our homemade veggie stock, Lomehenge onion soup, or my fun Redwall-inspired twist on French onion soup. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them for us in the comments section down below. And with that, I'll see y'all later.